Hello guys, welcome to another video. In this video, I would be explaining what is LangGraph and how do we create agents using LangGraph. LangGraph is a framework or a tool which is developed by LangChain only to build the agents or chatbots, whatever you call. So using LangGraph, we can create an agent like this, which when we ask something, will ask the chatbot and return the response. So, in LangGraph, we just create a graph or a flow chart, and that graph or a flow chart can be guided to go from one step to the other step. For example, here we started with start, and then we are asking to trigger the chatbot, and then we are asking it to end it. So, if I read the explanation here, LangGraph is a tool that helps to create agents or smart chatbots by organizing their steps and decisions in a structured way, almost like a flow chart. It makes it easy to control what the chatbot should do next based on the conversation. So it feels natural and can handle complex tasks. So in LangGraph, we have four major components. One is graph. Graph is nothing but the flow chart. The agent which we have built, the complete flow chart which we have built is called a graph. And the second is node. Each step here is called a node. So this start is a node, the chatbot is a node, end is a node. So like node is nothing but a method which we want to execute. Here we have a method called chatbot. So this chatbot method will trigger the chatbot and get the response. So that kind of methods are called nodes, and edges are nothing but the connections between the one node to the another node. So once it is started, it has to go to the chatbot. And this is a very basic one. So you are seeing this, but when we scroll down, here we have two nodes. The first node is the chatbot. So once started, it goes to the chatbot, and from chatbot it triggers the tool. Tool is like another method which I will show you. And after tool, it again goes to the chatbot. So this navigation from one node to the another node is defined using the edges. And next is the conditional operator. Like how to go to the next step, we do it based on some conditions. So that's what is called a conditional operator. You can read this explanation which I have written very simply to get it more clarified. So now let's see how we can create a simple agent using LangGraph. And that agent should just take the input, query the LLM, and return the response. That's the first simple agent which we see. So I've just imported the required libraries. First, we need to create a graph. So how do we create a graph? So I've created a class named state, and it takes the type dict. I'm using type dict because this type dict defines data types for the arguments will be decided based on the type. Right now I have only one argument inside this class called messages. If you have any other arguments, the data types and everything will be controlled by the type dict. So I'm just extending the type dict class here. That's it. And now inside which I'm having a variable called messages, and I'm using annotated list of add messages. This add message is a method from LangGraph only, which is used to append the messages to this state class. So whenever a new message comes to the state class, it just appends. That's the purpose of this add message. It will just append the message instead of just overwriting in this messages list. So this is of type list, and I'm passing this one so that it appends the messages every time whenever we call this. To create a graph in LangGraph, we have a class called state graph, inside which we need to just pass this class. That's it. So we got a graph here, and now for this graph we need to decide the nodes and edges. That's it. So I have an LLM here. Yeah, I'm using chat OpenAI class to trigger my LLM. So I've just created a method here called chatbot. So we are just invoking the LLM with the messages we have at that point in time. So initially we have only the one message. When we started, we'll have only the one user message. So with that user message, we are just invoking the LLM, and the output of that LLM will be the value and the key will be the messages. So what happens is, in this messages variable inside our state class, the message which the LLM has written will be appended. That's what will happen at this step. So it will just append the message which our LLM responds to this variable called messages in this class. That's it. So what I have done, I've just created a node which is chatbot. So whenever the chatbot node comes, call this chatbot method. That's what it means. So now I'm creating edges. So what is edge I'm creating? So first start is from the LangGraph only. This class start and end is from the LangGraph only. So once you start, go to the chatbot, and after chatbot, go to the end. That's it. This is very just simple graph we are creating here. And once we create this graph builder, we have to just do dot compile and then assign this to the variable. So when you do graph.getGraph, we got the same output. See what we have seen above, we got the exact same output. That's it. So here we are just invoking the LLM. That's it. With this graph variable, what we have here, once we compile it, that graph dot stream of the messages which we want. Here I am saying, hi, my name is Praveen. It said, hello Praveen, how can I assist you? And if I ask another question, who directed the movie Bahubali? It has responded with the correct response. And now if I ask, hi, what is my name? It doesn't remember because we didn't add memory to this graph yet. We have to add memory to this graph so that it remembers all the conversations which we had. That's it. So this is how we build a simple agent using LangGraph. And now let's go a little bit more and add one more node. Okay. Here I am using Tavili for my search. Tavili is like a Google only. You can go to the Tavili website and create an API key. That's it. So that you can search anything like how we do a Google search. Now we allow the LLM to do the Google search using Tavili. That's it. So this is a Tavili search result. We have to use this class and ask what are the places for trekking around Hyderabad. It just returned 2 results because we mentioned 2. And this is a tool.invoke. Now I'm creating a list with the tool. We have only one tool here. So we are just kept only one tool here. That's it. And now we are just binding these tools to the LLM. We know, right? Like in LangChain tutorials we have seen. So in case if our LLM wants to use the tools we have, tools are nothing but the custom methods, whatever we have, we have to bind those tools to the LLM. So to bind those tools, LLM.bind tools of tools. That's it. We have binded those tools. And this is the same code, the chartbot. And then we have created a node, which is exactly same as before. Now, LangGraph provides a class called tool node, and we need to use that tool node class to pass all the tools. That's it. So this becomes a tool node. And now I have to create another node called tools, and we'll pass this variable tool node, which was binded inside this tool node class. That's it. Now here I'm using the conditional edges. So what are the conditional edges? So to decide on how the graph should flow, we use this conditional edges method in LangGraph. So the graph builder dot add conditional edges. What we are saying is the first starting point is chartbot only, but after the chartbot, I am calling this method called tools condition. This is from the LangGraph only by default. If you see the import statement, this is from the LangGraph only. It's a pre-built method, and what it does is after triggering the chartbot, in case if chartbot response has a tool calling or not, it will check that. And in case if it has the tool calling, then it calls the respective tools, the tools which we have bounded here. That's it. That's what this tools condition method does. It will just check if the chartbot response has a tool calling. If so, then calls the tools. That's it. We said here after tools, again go to the chartbots. So from chartbots, we are saying go to the tools based on this tool condition in case if the chartbot response has the tools, and again after tools, go to the chartbot. That's it. And the entry point is chartbot here. That's what we are saying. And here before we saw that it could not remember my name, but in case if we pass the memory, it will remember. This is just a memory saver class from LangChain only. But in the real-time projects, we have to use like Postgre, memory saver, and all those classes which are provided by LangGraph. And we have to just pass that checkpointer. That's it. Now we created a graph. If you see, start chartbot, call the tool if needed, and response again pass to the chartbot, and the chartbot will end it. That's what. And then we need to pass this config. And what this config does is we are just assigning the thread equal to 1. Here we can assign any number so that all the questions we pass to this LLM will be configured to this. So for suppose if we ask some question here and pass the config as 1, and again if we pass another question and pass the same config, so all those 2 questions which we passed will be assigned to this config. So whenever we want to ask back the LLM again, what is my first question? You need to, when we pass this config, it will be able to respond. If you don't pass this config, it will not be able to respond what are the questions you have asked again. Here we are just triggering the graph.stream, user input is what the query we have, and the config. That's it. And we are just printing the response. If you see, hi there, my name is Praveen. Hello Praveen, how can I assist you? Then again I asked, hi there, suggest me some best Mexican restaurants in Hyderabad. So it has suggested me some results. Here if you see, The first is human message, and then the AI message is calling a tool, and the tool response is sent back to the AI, and the AI returned the response in this way. The tool has sent the response in this way, and the AI returned in this way. That's what our graph does, right? Start, chatbot, tool, tool to chatbot, and end. That's what is happening here. That's what the output is. Human to AI, AI to tool, tool again back to AI. That's it. Now if you see, can you recall my name? Yes, your name is Praveen, because we have added the memory and a config. And while asking every question, we are passing the same config. If we pass the different config and ask this question, it will not remember. Let's see that. So now I am changing this config to 2. That's it. Now if I ask the same question here, can you recall my name? It doesn't. I don't have access to the personal information about the user. But if we pass with the correct config or the correct thread ID, it does remember my name. Your name is Praveen. See, that's what will happen. That's the purpose of the config. That's it. So this is how we pass the memory. So this is how we add more nodes to the graph. Here we have added a tool node, and we have controlled the flow using this method called tool condition from LangChain. And now till now we have seen a simple graph using tools as well. But now let's see how we can control the state of this LangGraph as well. So this piece of code which we have seen above, nothing is different here. Exact piece of code, but the only thing which I have added is interrupt before tools. So what this does is whenever it calls the tools edge, it will interrupt. That means it stops it. So my query here is, what are the best places in Hyderabad to spend a day? That's it. So when you execute this, it has interrupted before calling the tools. I'll show you how that is. So we have a method called graph.getGraph, and the config whatever we have passed, when we pass it, we can get the snapshot information at that particular point in time. And if you see, we have an AI message. It is trying to call the tool best places to spend a day in Hyderabad, Telangana. And after this, there is no output. I mean, nothing has happened after that, because we have added this method called interrupt before tools. We are trying to call the tool, and before calling the tool, please do interrupt. That's what we have said. I mean, what I'm trying to show here is we can update the state as well. So instead of tool responding, let me create a response like how the tool does and update that to this graph. That's it. See here, see, you can spend a day in a Wonderla. I've just created a simple text. So here I am trying to simulate exactly how the response will be. The tool response will be inside the tool message class, and the AI response will be inside the AI message class, right? So it will have some arguments like the content. For the tool message, these are the two arguments which are mandatory: content and tool call ID. And tool call ID I am getting from the existing message, like from the previous message, because it is trying to call the tool, right? So this ID I am just trying to get and append it to the tool message. And I am also returning the AI message as well. What I am returning the AI message, I would suggest the following and append with the tool answer, whatever the tool answer which I have created, append that. So now I'll print that also. See, I would suggest the following: you can spend a day in Wonderla. That's what I have printed here. And now I'm updating the state of that graph with the same config, like how for the memory and for updating the state, we need the config. So with this config and with this message, that's it. And when you print, you get the response. So using LangGraph, we can even update or control the state of our graph. If you see, you can spend a day in a Wonderla is a tool message. And when you scroll right, AI messages, I would suggest the following: you can spend a day in the Wonderla. That's it. So this is how we can even update the state of the graph. That's it. So if you see, when I print it, the start, chatbot, tools, it should interrupt before calling the tool, and the response should go back to the chatbot and end. So if you see, the tool calling and the response which is sent back to the chatbot, and the chatbot response which returns is controlled by me here. That's what I have manually updated, these two parameters. That's it. So this is how you can even update the state in LangGraph. That's it. Thank you so much for watching.